where do I even begin? The Roblox Classic event was definitely something, and I wouldn't even blame you if you haven't heard of the event till now, mainly because the event lasted for a very short amount of time, and that being only 5 days, which I think it's completely absurd. And this event was announced out of nowhere. It's just that Roblox randomly decided to give us a throwback to the good old classic days of Roblox. How amazing! Now, just to be clear, when you hear of the term classic event on Roblox, you'd probably expect them to be bringing back the old format where there would be just one game centered around the event with all the quests and prizes in it, instead of there being multiple games making it a dev hunt. And honestly, I'd be lying if I told you that that's how the event worked. You see, nothing, and I mean nothing, about this event was classic except for a few games participating in this event and the hub itself. The format, it was just completely, definitely not classic. They literally brought back dev hunts, and the games weren't even classic. Like, we had games like Skibidi Toilet Tower Defense and Dragon Adventures or Adopt Me, all these pathetic games that aren't even classic. When you'd expect games to be classic, you'd expect there to be games such as Work at a Pizza Place or Natural Disaster Survival, but guess what? None of those games were given the spotlight, because all Roblox cares about is the kids of the future generation and this generation, which are going to be sticking only to Skibidi Toilet. We did have a few classic games like Bee Swarm Simulator, but judging from the fact that this is a classic event, there should be not just one classic game, but all of the games should be classic. Now, unlike The Hunt, which had a ridiculous amount of 100 games, this event thankfully had only 15 games, which would probably make you think that it would take a less amount of time to complete this event than it would with The Hunt, right? Wrong. You see, the problem wasn't with the fact that there were 15 games in this event, but actually because of the format and how this event worked. And so 99% of the games in this event took a very bad advantage of this format, basically making the players forcefully staying in the game just to complete a bunch of quests. So the way this event worked was that each of the games had 10 badges that gave you ticks currency, and 5 badges that gave you the token currency. Now, the ticks currency was completely useless because it just awarded you with a bunch of in-game gears inside the hub itself, but the main thing was the token currency, which actually contributed to giving you avatar items from the hub. And essentially what each game would do is that there would be 5 token currency badges. Each game would make 5 different quests, and each one giving you 1 token badge once you complete the quest. But the problem is that every single game, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, every single game except for only 2 or 3 games in this event actually took a very bad advantage of this format and made their quests extremely cheap, long, and grindy. So now that you get the point of this event, let me just get right into it before I explode. Starting with the hub itself, and I gotta say this was probably the only best part about this event, and that's because the hub was pretty much the only classic part about this event. The hub included all the classic Easter eggs from the classic era of Roblox, the classic buildings, structures, and all that sort of stuff. And the good thing was that there were also quests in the hub itself, which would give you tokens and ticks badges, so you didn't really have to play all the games in the event. You could just complete some of the quests from the hub and get the token and ticks. It even had the old style of walking where you would click to walk, and overall the hub was actually very well created, and I would honestly love it to see another hub created by the same people who made this hub. So seriously, good job on that, Roblox. W. Alright, we had that fun part of the event now, and it's time to transition into the very dreadful part of this event, and that being the games, of course. I don't even know what Roblox was thinking when they decided to add a cheap version of Brookhaven and Adopt Me into this event. This game had no classic quests whatsoever, and this game itself wasn't even classic, and I'm pretty sure that's been obvious by now. But anyways, this game actually required you to collect a bunch of items from the grocery store and then deliver them to customers, and Guess what, buddy? You had to do this a total of 15 times, and then there would be random ticks spawning after you completed a certain amount of deliveries, and honestly, this would take you like a good 30 minutes to an hour. So I am putting this in absolute bad tier. At first glance, upon joining, I actually got pretty excited to do this quest, as there was a whole classic map just for this event with classic racing systems and all that good stuff. But then it all changes and falls apart when you find out that this event featured a battle pass system to get the tokens in this game. Basically, you had to get a certain amount of coins or XP or whatever it was that would give you tokens and help you progress through the battle pass. The best way to do this was, of course, completing the race, and guess what, buddy? You had to do this a total of 40 times to fully complete the battle pass and get all 5 tokens. But that's not even the worst part, because once you realize that this game actually featured a pay-to-win game pass that would basically speed up your battle pass progress, yeah, it all goes downhill from there. I seriously don't know what Roblox was doing, and I don't even think they were aware of this game actually adding a pay to win game pass into this event, basically helping players that have Robux pay to win and complete this event, which, I mean, it's like you're probably thinking that
You don't have to pay if you don't have Robux and you don't want to.
but it actually makes and gives the players with Robux a really unfair advantage, especially considering the fact that this event had a leaderboard, which means that every player that wanted to be the first person in the leaderboard to complete the event was racing through this, and when they find out that there's cheap stuff like this in a game pass, yeah, it just ruins their whole day. And honestly, this was a very shameless move for the developers for doing this kind of stuff, and because of that, I'm actually gonna put this in the honor of shame. We're now suddenly on to a very good game, and this is probably the one of the best games that I mentioned earlier that actually didn't take an unfair advantage of this event. Now, I understand that a lot of people have had their fair shares with tower defense games, but come on, this one is probably one of the best ones on Roblox. And this quest itself was actually pretty good, because none of this actually required you to have good towers at the game and basically be good at the game, because each mission that you would complete out of the 5 missions on different maps just for this classic event, the game would automatically choose the suitable towers for each map's difficulty for you. All you needed to have was just a brain, and not even a full brain, just a part of your brain to basically strategize and know what you're doing, even if you've never played the game, and basically that's the whole point of Tower Defense Simulator. Overall, this did take me an hour, but this was probably one of the most fun games I've played in this event, so this is going straight up in W. Oh, the other good game. Nice. Okay, so Arsenal, if you don't know, always comes in clutch with these events on Roblox. The recent Hunt event that it was participating in, it just basically saved that event from pretty much collapsing by bringing probably one of the best quests Roblox has seen, with fully voice-acted storyline and a stealth mission. But that event ended, and now we're on a kind of a similar situation here for this quest, but you basically have to kill all these random noobs, and then there would also be new enemies that would be introduced, and you just gotta shoot them and get to the end. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this was a bit grindy and did actually require to replay the map and the game mode a bit because of the different token quests, like for example beat this under 12 minutes, which I think they then changed it to under 15 minutes. Or beat this with the classic pistol only. I mean, these were kind of challenging quests, but overall this was actually pretty fun, even if I had to play it like 5 times. So Arsenal, you did a good job as always. W. Okay, we're now back to the dark side of this event, unfortunately, and the first one that we're gonna be returning to is Blade Ball, sadly. Upon release of the event, this integrations quest was probably one of the most absurd ones ever. What you had to do was basically complete a series of quests, and guess what? This was another Battle Pass system game. Anyways, upon release, the Battle Pass quests were absolutely absurd. Like, you had to eliminate, for example, 70 players and win 7 to 10 times, which, I mean, it's not even gonna be possible for the players that have never even played the game and are only playing for the event only. But thankfully, when I played this, the quests were nerfed slightly. Keyword slightly. They just reduced the amount of eliminations and wins you would have to get for the quests. And each time you would unlock a token and get the next set of quests, well, guess what? Those quests were pretty much the same. Either you dodge the ball, eliminate players, or win the game a certain amount of times. Oh yeah, and as for the ticks on this game, yeah, don't even talk about it, because they were on different maps, and since this game has a very totally fair voting system for each map, a lot of players wouldn't even vote for the map you would want to go to for the ticks. And for some players, they were basically put in noob servers just because they didn't even have enough wins to be able to put in regular servers with all the maps. So amazing job, the owner of this game. You did a fantastic job keeping the players playing the game forcefully without their consent. And I shall reward you with the honor of shame. I actually had sort of high expectations from Restaurant Tycoon 2, but it was a huge disappointment considering that you had to feed 150 classic customers in total to get all 5 tokens. Oh yeah, and let me tell you this, not all customers gonna be classic. You're only gonna get a couple customers whenever customers enter, and the classic ones are gonna be the ones that have a classic name tag on top of their heads. And believe it or not, this would actually take you like a good 4 to 5 hour playthrough if you actually have probably never played Restaurant Tycoon 2, or you just have a pretty small and economically weak restaurant. Apparently, you could just go ahead and AFK this, and you know me, that's exactly what I did. And as for the ticks, they weren't really that hard to find. You just had to go through the map and collect them. And those were probably the only fun parts for this event integration. It's going straight up in bad. This is one of those games that you've never heard of, and then when you find out it's in an event, you have very low expectations from it, but then when you play them, yeah, it just exceeds your expectations, and it's just incomparable with the other games. Basically, this game has a pretty unique feature for this brain rot generation, dare I say, that is addicted to TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And so this game actually uses that feature as well, basically making it like a TikTok or YouTube short game inside of Roblox. And this mechanic was actually uniquely used. And this mechanic was also used in a very unique way for this integration. Basically, you had to find these different classic characters on different maps, and then you had to record a small footage with them on your phone. Hence, the game is called Clip It. And then you would get a token badge for each character you basically recorded yourself with, which I think was a pretty cool mechanic. And yeah, as for the ticks, just run around different maps and find them, but the only downside is that you walk very slow, like very slow on very big maps, and the ticks are hidden like very well in those maps. So yeah, but anyways, this was actually a pretty good one, so it's going in good. Okay, back to Rock Bottom, Adopt Me. Yeah, every toddler's favorite dream game where they can adopt cool pets and stuff like that. Woohoo! This game has actually had a pretty good reputation of holding up to being the #1 untouched game on Roblox for a couple of years until it was recently dominated, but that's besides the point. And knowing that, you would probably expect the owners of this game to actually make a pretty cool and decent quest, but that's exactly what they did not do. You see, you had to talk to this NPC who would give you a random teapot pet, and you had to grow that teapot pet to adulthood. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this video has played Adopt Me. Even if you're not an addict to the game, you've still played it, and I know that. But basically, you gotta feed your pets whatever it asks you to feed it, and do what it asks you to do, and that's how it's gonna grow up. And you gotta keep doing it until it's a full-on adult that is somehow still dependent Anyways, the amount of time it takes you is like about 2 hours, which yeah, considering how short this event lasts for only 5 days and each game taking you this much time, especially at .me, yeah, you can't really have high expectations now, can you? This was a very scummy move pulled by some developers that have had a good reputation of keeping a game top 1 for many years, and just doing like this makes it feel like they've hit rock bottom, which I'm pretty sure they already have. Anyways, this quest was actually completely disgraceful, and it's going exactly where you think it's going and where it actually belongs. Bad. You really thought Driving Empire was the only unfair game offering pay-to-win advantage now, did you? This is another game that I've always had high expectations from whenever it participates in an event, normally because its event integrations are pretty decent. But this one, again, it just was at rock bottom. Basically, you had to find and collect different eggs throughout different worlds, and then you could hatch those eggs and get tokens and ticks and blah blah blah. But the problem is that this game wasn't any better than Driving Empire when you find out that it also offers a game pass that may not be expensive, but it's only for the ones who have Robux and who are lazy to find the eggs. And this game pass basically unlocks an egg radar for them that just shows them straight up where each egg is, basically saving you minutes and minutes of just finding eggs, because the whole reason this quest takes you long in the first place is because of your hunt for these eggs. And this is actually what actually made me very disappointed. Seeing this kind of game pull this kind of move is just very, very disappointing in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure the game would happily join Driving Empire in the honor of shame. So yeah, have fun. Okay, let's all be honest. When we see a dress or fashion game inside an event like this, you'll probably expect to have a bad quest. But actually, it could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. It was actually better than 90% of the games in this event. You first had to find ticks around the lobby and dressing area, and then this portal would unlock and you gotta go through it and complete a very classic obby, if I do say so myself, and find tokens throughout the obby. Simple as that. Nothing challenging. I mean, it was challenging a bit, but there wasn't anything rigged or anything that was way too easy. It was actually pretty fun in my opinion, and I think I actually needed to play this quest after playing the very tedious and disgraceful integrations so far mentioned. I'm actually putting this in good. Okay, this is one of those games that aren't even tested properly before they release their integrations. I like the quest in general. You had to go to a trip to a total of 10,000 meters, and in your way there would be different obstacles like enemies that you could defeat, and you could collect a bunch of weapons and food and stuff in your way. But the problem comes when you realize how glitchy this game is, and I'm not kidding when I say it's glitchy. Sometimes my car would just randomly flip for no reason, even though I wouldn't collide into anything. It would just randomly bug out or flip. And one time I was in this pirate fighting area, and my gun dropped out of nowhere. I didn't even drop it, it just dropped, and I think it dropped out of the map. It just vanished completely. And overall this took me like I think 3 to 4 attempts, I think. So that's really not good, considering that this quest isn't really meant to be that difficult. It's just the fact that it just takes long, and if you mess up anywhere, even if it's not your fault and it's the dreadful bugs in this game, yeah, well buddy, you gotta do it all over again. So my advice to the owner of the game would be that next time if you release an event integration, just make sure it's well tested and it's smooth instead of glitchy. But anyways, this was a decent quest. What makes me laugh about this game is that the developers really tried it hard to make their quest extremely grindy and painful. But because of their totally amazing coding skills, I totally did not discover some very, very concerning bugs and glitches on release of this quest. Basically, you had to find ticks throughout the maps, and then you had to shoot those ticks to collect them, and then you would unlock classic weapons, and you would have to kill certain people, or well, certain amount of kills. You would have to get certain amount of eliminations with those classic weapons. But then guess what? A lot of those classic weapons are actually very, very bad, and they're very close ranged, unfortunately. And you had to get like an absurd amount of kills with those very badly created weapons, like 50 kills, and it wasn't really a good time until I discovered this bug where you could just shoot the ticks on the map, because apparently even after you collected those ticks, they wouldn't disappear, they would just stay there. So you could just shoot them and it would count as a kill. Okay. And also, if you had like a rocket launcher classic weapon and you were getting kills with it, you could just kill yourself, and it would basically count as an elimination, which, I mean, alright, okay. But I'm pretty sure this was fixed very quickly. I just got lucky enough to play this integration a few hours after the event itself came out. But I do gotta say that the developers really tried their best to make this a very grindy quest, but they failed at it. But anyway, I'm still gonna put this in bad. I just didn't like this at all. Okay, this is the only classic game in this entire event that we've had so far, and we will only have, because this is the only classic game, like I mentioned. Beestorm Simulator's quest wasn't that bad. It would take you like a total of 20 to 30 minutes if you had a good round with good people in it. Basically, you had to fight these enemies that would try to get to your beehive, and if they got to your beehives, well, you would be dead. But it wasn't that hard actually, because all you had to do was just collect bricks and stuff, and then upgrade your defense, get weapons, and blah blah blah. Just defend your hives with these weapons and defense, and destroy the enemies, which is exactly what me and my random teammates did, because they literally just carried me, honestly. This took me about a total of like 30 minutes, I think. And it actually wasn't that bad. It was pretty fun in my opinion. So I'm gonna put Beestorm Simulator in good.
And the winner is... oh, Bedwars.
Who is it?
Bedwars, 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 Bedwars.
Ah yes, Bedwars, the game that every hacker on Roblox calls it their home. I gotta say, the developers of this game were straight up scummy for adding a quest like this. Basically, there was a penguin survival game mode in it where you had to defend your bed against penguins and prevent them from getting to your bed and destroying it. And that's not easy when, first of all, you have random people that you're playing with that don't even know how to play the game itself. And then second of all, each wave basically introduces an absurd amount of penguins, and you can die to wave 2 penguins. Like, you can literally die at wave 2, and there are 10 waves, by the way. So you might see where I'm going with this one. Basically, you need a full-on organized team that knows what they're doing. So you need to strategize with a good team of good people. And let's be honest, not everybody playing this is gonna have friends that they can team up with and strategize with and all that stuff. But luckily for me, I did get my friends and we strategized this through, and we ended up beating this in our second try. But overall, these types of quests really shouldn't be included in this kind of an event, because not everybody's gonna have friends that are gonna be playing Bedwars, and certainly not everybody playing is gonna be good at the game. So Bedwars, just either next time don't even bother participating in an event just cause you're desperate for players, or actually make a good and easy quest like you did with the hunt. Anyways, this was a very disgraceful experience. I'm putting this right next to the other 4 games instead of the honor of shame. Yes, I love to wrap up this game ranking with yeah, okay. Do I actually have to do this? Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. This quest actually did not disappoint me. I was actually expecting this quest to be extremely terrible, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were expecting it to be bad as well, because this was the only game that had the lowest expectations when it was announced to be in the event. But then, surprisingly, it wasn't as bad as Bedwars and Blade Ball, these popular games that people actually had high expectations from. Yeah, it is true that this quest was grindy, but then again, at the end of the day, this game is like a toilet version and a cheaply created version of Tower Defense Simulator, so I don't expect them to be doing much at all. But it could have been a lot worse, but it was actually better. But overall, you know what, I'm gonna put this game in decent. As much as I hated this quest, it could have been actually a lot worse than the other games, but it wasn't, thankfully. It only took me like, I think, an hour and a half, which I mean, still it's a lot, but it's not a lot compared to the other dreadful games that I've put at rock bottom. And anyways, with that being said, that's the game ranking system complete, and I just want to wrap this up with a few more comments. So the prizes themselves were actually pretty alright. I liked the prizes. They were actually pretty classic, even though there weren't really many free prizes. And just like the hunt, Roblox actually introduced a golden tier where you would basically be able to purchase the golden tier with 600 Robux and claim golden variants of these regular free items. But Roblox again scammed people just like they did with the hunt with releasing a bundle. Basically, they released 2 bundles this time instead of 1, each costing a ridiculous amount of 19,000 Robux, and if you bought those bundles, basically you would be getting the golden tier for free, which you could otherwise actually just buy it with 600 Robux instead of having to spend 19k Robux. So I do feel bad for the people who bought it. They did get scammed, but come on buddy, next time don't buy this kind of stuff. Aside from that, we also had launcher items, like for example the YouTuber launcher, which really wasn't that painful to get because you could just find a small random YouTuber that is launching the item and join them and get the item, which is exactly what I did. But then the dreadful part comes where there was developer launcher and also the admin launcher. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the last time we had the developer and admin launchers as well was during the Metaverse Champions event 3 years ago. So seeing Roblox bringing them back, it's actually very disappointing because if you don't know, nobody likes to be having to spend hours and hours trying to join a game or a server that an admin is in, because first of all, admins barely even play the game, yet alone launch these items. Now thankfully there were some admins that were launching these items and they were telling people on their profile to follow them and join them, but the problem is that people have some sort of bots enabled that basically just detect when this admin is in a server, and then the bot automatically makes the player join the admin's server, which basically leaves the normal regular players that are struggling to get them 900 in queue. And then there was a bug with the queue system, by the way, where like if you're getting closer to joining the server, say you're in 100th place in the queue, you would randomly get yeeted all the way back to being 900. So I don't know what happened there, but Roblox, either just remove your queue system and replace it with something better, or just fix it, or actually why don't you increase the hub server limit from 20 to actually a reasonable amount of 100. I know Roblox servers can handle them after the outage, but if it wasn't for Dieter Plays, I probably wouldn't have gotten the admin and developer items because he was the only one that was constantly launching these and that I could actually join with peace, and I actually ended up getting them thankfully, and yeah, it took me hours. It took me like almost 2 days to get these. So yeah, just don't do this again, Roblox, please, for God's sake. And as for the finale for this event, yeah, remember when I said the Tix was completely useless? I meant it when I said that the Tix currency was completely useless. Apparently Roblox tried their best to make it seem that they were useful for some reason. They added a giant Tix machine that would basically increase depending on how many people got it all over Roblox. And once this Tix machine filled up, a bunker was open under the giant duck statue in the middle of the map. And then you had to find random code digits around the map and then insert them on this keypad that would unlock a very interesting and classic, this was actually a very classic part. It would unlock a classic 1x1x1 boss fight which you could complete, and it wasn't that hard to complete. But then here's the disappointing part. You get nothing, buddy. Yeah, nothing. No badge, no free item. You know what you get? Just a random GUI on the side that is asking you to purchase the 1x1x1x sword, which was probably one of the coolest items, and a lot of people expected it to be free for yeah, about 40,000 Robux. Yeah, that's basically the only reason they released this boss fight in the first place. And as I'm recording, the event has already ended, so don't have any expectations of them randomly adding a free item that you will get from the boss fight. It's not gonna happen because this event is already bad, and this just got bad enough, and I don't think they're even gonna try to make it good. This final part was just like adding salt on a wound. The event was already destroyed and they just destroyed it even more, making your ticks basically completely useless. So you spend those times getting the ticks. Yeah, buddy, you just did that for no reason. But of course, you know, a lot of people on Roblox that play this event like torturing themselves, and they like to complete the event 100%. Anyways, what would be my overall review for this event? Well, first of all, a huge advice to the admins of Roblox and the QA testers for this event or in any event in the future. Please, for God's sake, test the event games first. Like, test the games quests that are participating in the event, test the games that are participating in the event. Make sure that they don't contain any unfair pay to win stuff, especially when you're gonna be adding a feature of leaderboards in the event, global leaderboards. Yeah, just make sure no game in that case actually pulls the stuff like pay to win and stuff like that. And also make sure the quests are actually balanced and they are not grindy, which I mean can be said about 100, probably 98% of the games participating in this event. Also, if you do add admin launchers, just make them more accessible to more people. And also, next time, increase the duration of events. Like, bro, 5 days? Come on, like, they were really expecting people to start playing really on the first day of launch of this event. Like, they just thought that people, even though despite having schools or final exam or work, would just randomly start playing the event during launch and grind it out throughout the whole weekend. Yeah, but it took me like 2 days more than just the weekend to fully complete this event because of how dreadful the quests were. And considering the fact that Roblox actually confirmed they're gonna be doing events every 2 months, yeah, I don't have huge expectations because they're not even gonna have that much time to make a good event, and in that case they're just gonna make this another terrible event, making it a dev hunt with bad quests that aren't even gonna be tested because of quote-unquote time constraints, even though nobody told them to release events every 1 to 2 months. Like, I feel like maybe 3 or 4 events per year, it's fine, you know, as long as we have events. Even 1 event per year is okay as long as we have 1 event that is actually good. So yeah, Roblox, just next time do a better job. Anyways, this event gets an overall rating of 3 out of 10. Really, it was that bad. Anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I want to add anything. I think I've made my opinion crystal clear about this event, and yeah, I hope you get it how much I hated this event, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Peace out.
I walked to Burger King, then I walked back home from Burger King.